There is a $500 fix that could save you upwards of $15,000, $20,000 on basement waterproofing. The worst part is homeowners know about it, but they don't know about this cheap, easy fix that can buy them a ton of time. I'm dealing with Better Basements and Waterproofing. We waterproof basements, crawl spaces in Vancouver, Portland, and Eugene, and we take hundreds of appointments every month, and we see homeowners that forget this small thing. You know water is the enemy, but the problem is that you're paralyzed by doing the right thing all the way the first time. With gutters and downspouts, we actually don't need to do that. What we see all the time is that gutters are dumping right next to the foundation. This is causing you tens of thousands of dollars of potential foundation damage, when really all you need to do is extend the downspouts out. This is not a point that people argue with us about. This is not a controversial statement. So when we show up and give downspout bids, sometimes ranging between $3,000 to $15,000, $20,000 for really big homes with lots of downspouts to extend, they forget that they could have simply done the DIY fix. Go get yourself a big roll of perf pipe, corrugated, non-perforated, so no holes in it, perf pipe, and get those downspouts ran as far away as possible. This will effectively do the same exact thing as us doing the professional install of digging the trenches, installing 3 or 4 inch ABS to dry wells and pop-up emitters. Yes, will it be unsightly? But it could potentially drastically increase that window of time before you need to do waterproofing fixes. So if money is a little tight, it is no excuse to let that roof water dump right next to your foundation. 2, downspout scoping and jetting. Sometimes this can be a little bit more than $500, sometimes a little less. Yes, your downspouts are a cause of basement and crawl space flooding, and making sure that they are always flowing well is a very important part of maintaining soil saturation. So if you ever see your downspouts kind of bubbling over, it is not something to neglect. It is not something to push off. It is very important that you call a drainage contractor or plumbing contractor to get a camera in there and to scope it and jet it and get those breaks fixed. If it's just a minor clog from roof sediment or leaves, then this should not be very painful. What we don't want to do is get analysis paralysis and think that it's just a little water dumping over the side, because it's not. That saturated soil is a really big deal. Now, maintaining your gutters and maintaining your downspouts is not a soil dryout solution like a waterproofing system is. What it does do is it slows down soil dryout, which can really make a huge difference and increase that window of time before you need to waterproof if your waterproofing system is not yet installed. Now, if you do have a waterproofing system, do you need to make sure your gutters and downspouts are working well? Absolutely. Will your systems still work if they're not? Probably, very likely, but that pump is going to constantly be running and your soil will never dry out, and it could still potentially damage your foundation. So you're only getting one of the many benefits of a waterproofing system. 3, sump pumps. Do not ignore your sump pump. Yes, sump pumps can last a very long time. We tell homeowners that they should be replaced every 7 to 10 years, and they actually last quite a bit longer if they run more frequently. But you should not be ignoring it. You should not just pretend that it's good because you hear it running sometimes. A sump pump swap in a properly installed basin with a properly installed discharge can be about $500. But if that float switch has failed, if that discharge is broken, if we've neglected to have some trained eyes go down there and look at it for many years, it can easily be thousands of dollars to fix it, especially if it's caused a flood in your basement or crawl space. So a simple sump pump swap can really get you ahead and future-proof your crawl space. The nice thing about having a sump pump and sump pump basin in your crawl space, even if you don't have a full drainage system, because maybe you don't need one, but what it does do is it does provide soil dryout. So it is constantly letting water seep in because it is much deeper than a low point drain. So yes, I'm a big believer in installing sump pump and sump pump basins inside of crawl spaces, even if they do not necessarily need a full waterproofing system. It is such cheap insurance. And yes, a lot of these crawl space waterproofing systems can easily get up to $15,000 or more, especially if you're encapsulating, especially if you're giving it the whole shebang of spray foam, dehumidifiers, upgraded vapor barriers. Now, we are not huge evangelizers on doing those things, so we're happy to install a vented crawl space for a fraction of the cost. But those are good options, and they do provide a lot of value for a lot of people's goals. Now, here's a little one that's a little misleading because it can be quite a bit more than $500, sometimes upwards of $3,000, but they can get below $2,000 sometimes. But here's a nice little kicker. It's the foundation crack repair. You should not be ignoring small cracks just because they may not be structural, just because they may not show movement in the foundation. We should not be ignoring them. If you have a crack in your foundation that is more than 1/8 of an inch wide, you should definitely get a trusted foundation repair contractor to come take a look. Should you be leery about inviting a foundation contractor into your home? Absolutely. This industry is kind of scummy. Now, we work with a excellent foundation restoration company that will never send you a bid unless you absolutely need it and you absolutely have something they can fix. Just like the way we approach waterproofing, it is kind of rare. A lot of these companies are sending bids for very expensive foundation restoration to every single person they meet. But what is agreed upon is that if you have a small crack, it should be monitored and not necessarily ignored. Just because you have a small crack does not mean that you need to do helicals, steel, carbon fiber. What it might mean is that we need to come out and we need to inject it and manage the water and stop the water from coming through it and making it worse. That constant flow of water, that constant trickle of water is the real problem in ignoring foundation cracks. Now, the real problem with our industry is that people like to oversell. They want to sell that big $60,000 job. Now, sometimes you might need $60,000 of work, but if we ignore it, could it turn into $100,000? I don't know. I'm not going to assign dollar signs to imaginary problems. But what I do know is that if we ignore small cracks, we might be able to fix them for much, much cheaper before they get wider because of constant water flowing through them. So what is the biggest mistake that we see people make? They ignore it. They push it off. Very few problems in life, I don't know of any, but very few problems in life get better over time, and they get better if we ignore it. Water is no different. Foundations are no different. Ignoring these issues, which may be big issues, I'm not downplaying how serious they are or how scary they can be, but they definitely will get worse the longer we wait. And oftentimes what we see, over 30% of the homes that we go into, they don't need anything at all. They're worried, they're scared. They had a bid from someone who may have misled them, who may have been misinformed, and they're freaking out because they're told they have to spend all this money. And now we're informing them that they actually don't need it. Or they do need some work, but it's drastically less. This is very common in this industry. So there is no reason to be scared to call a reputable foundation or waterproofing contractor. And actually getting ahead of it might save you a fortune. It might save you a lot more than $15,000. And it might be a little bit more than $500 to fix it. But there are plenty of $500 fixes that can save you $15,000 on your home ownership. For instance, we just recently had a homeowner call us because they had a minor crack under a foundation vent screen. They also felt like they had squeaky floors. Their floors were getting softer. And they had one bid from one of our local competitors that proposed a massive repair for these cracks. Now, if it's your first home, or you have a home, or you're new to the Northwest in Portland, Eugene, and Vancouver, and you've never had a crawl space or basement, a foundation crack can be really scary. And a lot of places in the country, they're on monolithic slabs and they don't necessarily see these foundation problems, but they know that a foundation crack can be scary. So you invite someone into your home and they see a crack there and they tell you that there's movement in your home and it's a cause of foundation failure. I spent an hour in this home taking measurements, explaining to them how this is nothing to be concerned of. And if they really wanted, we can inject it and try to stop it from spreading more. But ultimately, it was even too minor to even inject. This is a real issue, and it is something you should be concerned of. So here's my tip that I would give you if you're inviting a foundation contractor into your home. I want you to ask him, when was the last time that you walked into a home and they did not need a proposal? Some of the best contractors I looked up to say that they have similar no bid rates as us. About 30% of the homes they go into don't even need any work at all. So oftentimes, a lot of that fear, that knot in your stomach is totally unjustified. If you have any of those issues that you think we can fix, downspouts, crawl space water, basement water, foundation cracks, give us a call. You might make a new friend and you might learn something about basement and crawl space waterproofing. If you want to know exactly what causes basement flooding, watch this next video and I will break it down.